Right, so Nottingham Forest have lost 2-1 today away at Fulham. We never ever do very well against Fulham. It just always tends to be the way. Besides that brilliant 3-1 at the end of last season, we just never do very well at Fulham. So I'm not shocked to see us lose to them. Haven't uploaded for about 10 days at this stage, which is incredibly rare that I go that long. So I apologise for that gap. I haven't just forgotten about this channel and disappeared or quit YouTube. I've just not been feeling very well the last week. It's not really anything bigger than that. I was going to at least do an Exeter video, but obviously I couldn't even do that. So that's frustrating. Apologies for that, and let's just talk about this one, shall we? It was very much the case of Fulham being the better team, which is easy to say, but they were. I mean, 24 shots to 8 says a lot. It was just constant Fulham pressure from the get-go. As an unchanged team from Forest. From the Brighton game, why change a team that won 7-0? It makes sense to stick to that. Only maybe we are seeing here that a back three isn't always the way to go. I don't think it should be our first choice option, because when we did switch to our more traditional and recognisable 4-2-3-1, it was better when Hudson-Odoi came on. That's what I'm seeing a lot of people say, at least. And yeah, I think a back three has its place, but maybe not all the time. Morato obviously staying in there. Hudson-Odoi back on the bench. Hennessy on the bench ahead of Miguel. Of course, Miguel and Tyro getting injured against Exeter. But both Fulham goals really were just a case of us being again quite disjointed at the back, a bit like the Bournemouth game. I don't think it was as bad as that, but disjointed at the back, kind of a lack of structure, and we don't really see much from us this season. But to see that is quite concerning, if I'm honest, and a lack of pressure from Forest. I think, the work rate of this team typically is incredible, but I do feel like, we're too casual out of possession sometimes. We set off teams a bit too much, and it just allows them to, have a lot of the ball, a lot of freedom. And especially away from home, you're going to invite a lot of pressure by doing that. Have a bit more of an impact on the game is what I'm trying to say here. So that wasn't great to see from us, that we just let Fulham kind of do their game without seriously testing them. And one positive is the goal. Fantastic goal, really. A great assist from Gibbs White and an 18th goal of the season for Chris Wood. And yeah, brilliant assist, brilliant goal. The way it was executed, all of it was fantastic. But that was really all I can say. I think even the subs were a bit questionable. Using all three windows with just one player, Sangar for Danilo, makes sense. Let's not overdo Danilo just yet. Jota, I mean, he doesn't really make much of an impact on games. I'm not going to lay into him because I think he did well against Brighton, for example, but against Exeter wasn't the best. I don't really know how he did today. And then obviously Hudson-Odoi coming on for Morato, and that's why I feel like maybe playing without that back three should be our first choice formula, and I think is our first choice formula. But maybe we were just thinking, okay, away from home here, we'll just keep this going. So I get the idea actually behind it, but maybe we should have just gone back to what we know in terms of it being, our first choice formation. But like I say, keeping a winning team also made sense. So I do see both sides of it, and then being away from home, it was a tough call, that, to be fair. But I do feel overall you've got to be critical in a way of the players and the management of the game. But I'm not going to get carried away. End of the day, it was still third in the Premier League. It's unbelievable. So when we do lose games, I mean, Bournemouth was horrific, but I'm not going to get really carried away unless it continues to happen every single week. Even just losing, okay? If we start to just lose and lose, then yeah, you can absolutely start to point fingers and say what's going on here. And any defeat you can question, of course you can, but I do feel that you've got to look at the big picture. The way the season's going is unbelievable. You can't win every game. Even when you're third, you're going to lose the odd game. And Fulham are the only team to beat us both times this season, and with our record against them, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, we're just going to move on now, haven't we? Like, on to Newcastle. Newcastle are, again, another team that we don't have a very good record against. Them and Bournemouth, in terms of Fulham and Bournemouth, and then Newcastle are up there as well. Just don't tend to do very well against Newcastle. But obviously last season we got a very famous victory against them, so if we can do it then, we can surely go there this time and produce. And Newcastle, they were looking incredibly strong, and now they're looking very inconsistent. Got absolutely smashed today by a inconsistent Man City side. So you never, that really could be anything, just like this one against Fulham. But I just hope we don't just, invite so much pressure again like we did today, because that's just not what you want to see. And I think it's going to make life a lot harder for yourself than it needs to be. And we know we're better than that. We know we can, take the game to the opposition and make life difficult for them more so. Even against Wolves, right? They had a lot of the ball, a lot of the shots, and we weren't actually unbelievable in that game, but we were very clinical. Whereas today, okay, Fulham are better than Wolves, but we didn't even look like the same sort of side. And maybe it's just because Fulham are better, but you hope you get the point. The way we went about the Fulham game compared to the Wolves game, for example, that's the difference that we're talking about. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, everyone. If you have, even though we've lost, please hit the like button, subscribe to Rads if you're new, that would be great. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a normal week coming up this week with at least a couple of videos, 1 or 2 videos this week, so stay tuned to that. And on to Newcastle next week. Won't be an easy one at all, but we've just got to respond now and hope that this isn't any kind of inconsistent rut that we've got ourselves into. Thanks for watching, everyone, and up the Reds.